Hey, it's Aaron Kushler and welcome to another video from EBSC. In today's video, we're going to be looking at how to improve your upper body mobility so that you can snatch more weight. So let's be honest, we'd all love to snatch more weight and it'd be great if we could break PRs every single time. However, not all of us have the shoulder mobility to get in a proper position in the first place. We get told with cues such as, rolling the shoulders back, active shoulders, having the elbows facing up to the ceiling, which is great. However, if you don't actually have the thoracic mobility to do so, it's going to be much harder to achieve. So I'm going to show you some exercises to first stretch out the muscles that might be restricting you, and then strengthen the muscles so that you can actually pull your upper back together so that you can get your shoulders in a much more stable position. That's going to allow you to support more weight and to get into a better position so that your lockout position in the bottom of a snatch is much better. What I like to do is see mobility as a two-part approach. If you don't already have the mobility naturally, we have to go about building it. And by building it, we take a two-part approach. Firstly, we're going to stretch the muscles that are tight and then strengthen the muscles that are weak. So this stretch that I'm about to show you is a really simple one that you can do. Now it's a progression up from just using a foam roller. If you have really tight shoulders, I'd suggest you first start with a foam roller by placing the foam roller on the ground and then having your hands behind your head and arching over the roller. That's to start stretching the front of the body out. The next progression is going to be using a GHD. So if you've got access to a GHD, this is going to make it really, really effective for you. So you're going to get the extension of your upper back, so your thoracic region, and we're going to get the arms in an overhead position. So we're closely mimicking and exaggerating what you would do in the bottom of a snatch. What I've done is brought the footrests in quite close, and I've also used a band. So the band's going to allow us to have our hands a lot wider, mimicking that same width that you would have on a barbell when you're doing a snatch. What you're going to do from here is basically sink down. You're going to reach back, placing your hands inside the band. You're going to then push your hands out into a snatch position, bring your upper back down onto the pads, and then from here we're just going to drop our hips. So as you drop your hips, your upper back is extending, your arms are in a snatch width, and you're stretching the front of your chest. So with that first stretch, we're going to hold that for about 30 seconds. That's going to allow you to loosen up the muscles in the front of the body, so namely the front delts, the chest, anything that's tight. We may have been developing those tight muscles all day from sitting down, where we're sort of slightly round-shouldered. This is going to help free those up and then make the rest of the work more effective in what we're doing. The next part in building mobility, after we've stretched out the muscles at the front that might be really tight for us, the second part is then to strengthen the muscles in the back that are actually holding us in those right positions. So namely what we're talking about here is the lower traps. So your traps come down in this big sort of diamond shape, and everyone usually has quite dominant upper traps, so that the upper traps are used in the first part of the snatch where we're really pulling the weight up into that high pull position and we're shrugging our shoulders up. However, when we get into the bottom of the snatch, we then need the lower traps to be able to hold our shoulders in the correct position. So they'll bring us from a rounded shoulder like this into a much more stable position. And the easiest way we can train those muscles to become quite strong is using something like a scapular pull-up. So all we're going to do is take a grip, a nice wide grip on a pull-up bar, like so, and all we're doing with straight arms is aiming to pull ourselves up by pulling our shoulder blades back and together. And then back down. So up, back down. So you might feel a pinching sensation in the middle of your back. That's indicating that those muscles are working properly and they're maybe a little bit weaker. So over time, what we're going to do is build up the reps on that movement to strengthen those muscles up. Then when we get into the positions of holding the bar above our head in a snatch grip, so we're here, we're going to focus on those same muscles to contract. So we're going to pull our shoulder blades back and down, and then roll. That's going to allow us to roll our shoulders back and actually keep our arms in a more stable position. So we're going to be using the support of our upper back to actually help build that positioning. So obviously not everyone's going to be able to do scapular pull-ups as we just went through before. If you can't do that and you're finding it quite difficult, another alternative is to use bands in the same position. Now this one, you might require someone else to actually physically be there to make sure that you're doing the right thing and for the right muscles to be working. So all I've done here is taken 2 bands. I've used a medium band on this. You want a little bit of tension that you actually have to pull against in order to really feel it, because it's going to be a very, very small movement that you're going to be doing. And a lot of the times, most people don't think they're actually doing anything when those muscles are contracting. So you're not going to be feeling like a full pull-up. It's just a very small movement. Again, we're keeping the arms nice and straight. So what I've done with this is set these up in a pull-up rig, quite wide, so you can have your hands wider. Again, we're trying to emulate the position that we're going to get into. Then you're just going to take a grip fairly high up on the bands. You're going to come down into a quarter squat position with a nice flat back. Brace your core, and then you're going to bring your arms or your shoulder blades down towards your lower back. So keeping the arms straight, we're just going to be retracting and pulling our shoulder blades back and down. Down with a bit of a squeeze, hold it at the bottom for a second, and then let the bands pull your shoulder blades up. So you're just getting used to pulling the shoulder blades down under voluntary control. So there you have it. There's 2 simple movements that you can do to start creating mobility in the upper body. Again, it takes a 2-part approach. We want to stretch the muscles that are tight, and then we want to strengthen the muscles that are weak. The stretching exercise that I just showed you on the GHD, I would add that in every single day. So every day that you're doing any activity, do that as the first thing that you do when you come into the gym, is grab out a band, go over to the GHD and stretch out your upper body. We spend all day sitting at computers and desks, which it wreaks havoc on the upper body in terms of bringing our shoulders in, and then we're trying to, chuck in overhead movements and we get stuck here. We want to be in a position where we're not restricted, so it's much easier for us to do. With the scapular pull-ups and the ones I just showed you with the band, as a guideline, I would work up to being able to do sets of 20 in a row. So 20 reps, nice and slow, bringing those shoulder blades down, pause for a second, and then come back up. So having really good control of those muscles is going to make sure that when the weight gets heavy above your head, it's nice and stable. You're not going to be letting it drop forward. It's going to be nice and snappy. You're going to be able to hold more weight. So that's it. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if there's anyone that can benefit from this, make sure you share this video with them. And until then, I'll see you next time.